Hi guys, so this section is all about planning. So the previous bit we talked about knowing your subject inside out, and what I wanted to say at the end of that, and I'm saying now, is before you can move on to planning, you need to get to the point where you are confident enough to speak about your subject for about 5 or 10 minutes without any books, references, texts, anything, nothing in front of you, that it just kind of pours out of you. A presentation is a pouring out of everything that's inside of you. And I love that analogy, because if you think about drink pouring, if there's nothing in the drink, if there's nothing in the glass or the bottle, and you pour it, nothing comes out. If there's no knowledge inside of your head, then nothing's going to come out. You can stand in front of an audience all you want, but if you're trying to blag it, you're going to fail, because there's no depth of knowledge inside you that's going to win the audience over. So when you get to that point, it's at that point that you can start planning. So planning to deliver. So this is where people get nervous, really, really nervous. So the first thing to say is there's a really cool hack that you can use. The first 30 seconds of your presentation is your make or break. And that's the point that people are frightened of. They're not frightened of the rest. Because I guarantee if you get past the first 30 seconds, you're sorted. No matter how long your presentation is, it can be for an hour. I've spoken in front of people for a day, and it's always just that first 30 seconds that'll kill it. And it'll kill it for the rest of the day or the rest of the presentation. So how do you get over that first 30 seconds? So you need to choose something, and it's hard to give you some kind of a pin here, because everything is subjective. So you need to choose something that you can speak about confidently for 30 seconds or 2 minutes. So some kind of hook, and I'm going to give you a couple of examples as well. So I did a financial comparison presentation looking at financial investments, which sounds really dry and really boring, and it could have been, but I tried to make it quite interesting. So the first 30 seconds, what I did, because it was quite a techie and heavy presentation, I wanted to break that up a little bit. So I brought in pretty much my library on self-help and financial investments. It was on buy-to-lets and all that kind of stuff. And there's some really inspiring texts out there. So I brought that in, and that was my introduction into my assignment and my presentation. And I also brought in a board game called The Game of Life, which you might have come across, you might not, don't matter. And we talked about that and why I wanted to use that and why I felt that illustrated where I was going. It was something that wasn't massively techy, it was interesting, it was engaging, and it was something that I didn't need to think about. And what that does when you use a little 30-second hack is it takes your presentation from, oh my goodness, I've got to stand in front of people, I'm giving a presentation, I've got to be very formal, to, oh yeah, this is my favourite book and I absolutely love this. And it becomes more a conversation, which a presentation should be. All you're doing is talking to your audience, and it becomes that more than that nerve-wracking presentation where you feel like you've got to stand up there and be really, really formal. And of course there is a place for that, and I can do that, I can turn it on like that when I want to be formal. But if you've lost your audience and you don't engage with them and you don't give yourself that 30 seconds to bed in, you'll lose them anyway. They want to know you're a human. Interview panels want to know you're a human. Sales pitch, they want to know you're a human, because if you're a human and they like you, they'll buy from you. And if they don't, they won't. Your product can be as amazing as you like, but if they don't like you, they ain't going to buy from you. Sorry. So plan your presentation. So start your planning process, do whatever you need to do. If it's PowerPoint, if it's pages, if it's doing something a bit more quirky. So if you're selling a product, you need to incorporate obviously the product. If you're selling a restaurant idea, build the room around your idea. If you're selling a concept, build the concept within your budget. Do something really interesting with your subject matter if you can. Start planning, and planning, like I said, comes later. Start building the bones together, because you've done all your research. Now you can start putting all the meat on the bones. And because you've done your research first, you'll find that throughout the research process, you might start not dreaming I do sometimes dream about stuff. Stuff does come to me in dreams, but that's a bit weird, isn't it? You'll find that there's this theory in there around like your subconscious. When you allow your subconscious just to do its thing, that's when creativity comes. And through doing the research first, that allows that creative element to come in. So allow that, enjoy that, and it gives you time to kind of think, oh, that's a really good idea, or not sure about that, and test things. So yeah, enjoy that process and make it engaging, and think to yourself how many times you've been in a presentation and it's been awful, really awful, because they're reading off a PowerPoint or something. So don't do that. Do something different. Do something fun if you can. That sounds really bad, that, doesn't it? Because I'm just really speaking to you guys, but I'm not good enough on the camera yet to make things really, really interesting, but I'm getting there. Right, that's the end of this section, and I'll see you shortly. Hi guys, welcome back to this section. This is the final section. I just want to say as well, obviously, when I'm speaking today, sometimes you might think, well, she's a bit short of breath, and I want to show you the reason why. I am a mature student, and I'm just in the process of, well, you'll see. So I am nearly 36 weeks pregnant at the minute, so do bear with me, just because I do get a little bit short of breath when we're doing these presentations. See what I did there? Was honest with you, give you a little bit of insight into my life. Do something like that in your presentation. Honestly, it'll work. Throw little bones into the audience, talk about your kids, do anything you want to do within professional boundaries, but just throw little bits in, because it just makes the audience just like you a little bit more. Oh my goodness, I'm saying that again, aren't I? And you probably don't like me, so anyway, no, you will. So, last section, everybody hates this, and you're not going to want to hear it. It is, you must practice. I was told to do this from a very young age. I'm a pretty confident person. It comes all right to me, but I can appreciate why people find this really cringy. But you've got to practice. There's no way around it. How do you expect to, speak in front of whoever it is unless you've practiced your presentation? The way to do it is, there's a couple of ways to do it. Camera, like we're doing. In front of a mirror, in front of a family member. If you're in front of a family member and you're really unconfident, get them to stand on the other side of the wall or the other side of the door, just so they can hear you, so that they can hear the content. But you've got to look at yourself in the mirror. I'm really sorry, there's no other way around it, because people have annoying habits. Have you ever watched a presenter and you're like, oh, will you just stop moving your hands? Or will you just stand still on the spot, please? Or will you please stop saying that particular word, like or they might have like a really weird something that they do with their mouth, or it is something that is really annoying. And unless you watch yourself in a mirror, you've got no idea what that is. What do? I have a tendency to speak very, very fast, and it's taken me a number of years just to slow down, because I speak fast in general, but when I'm presenting, I probably try and speak a lot slower than I would do to my friends, for example, just because that's the feedback that I've been given, that sometimes I can get so enthusiastic and so into my subject that I start to get so quick and just pour information out that people can't necessarily keep up with that. So that's just my thing that I do. But you need to figure out what it is. Everybody all have one. We've all got something annoying. So figure it out. So practice. Get in front of a mirror. Get in front of a family member. Practice to your dog if you want to first. But you have to do it. There's no way around it. And again, I always come back to this thing of, you have to allow things to become part of who you are. And when you practice something, this is my second run through, by the way, and I think we've got it just to give, just so you know where I'm coming from as well. It gets better, and you'll throw in little things, and you'll remember something from your text that you've been researching, and you'll be like, oh yeah, I should definitely put that in there. Or Or you'll think, oh, that just doesn't flow right. I need to switch that slide around, and ooh, that needs a good reference, and I need to support that a little bit more, and oh, I don't know what that word means, and they're going to ask me it, and all the little things that could go wrong in your presentation will go wrong in your practice. So hopefully by the time you get there, you'll be absolutely fine. Also, academically, an interview, anything that we're talking about today, you will be given a time limit. It really, really pisses people off when you go over your time limit, particularly in interviews, because you've been given a certain slot, that's it. And if you can't manage your time in a presentation, why on earth should that person give you any more of their time? And purely and academically as well, you need to lose marks. If you haven't practiced and you haven't got to the point where you're within 10 minutes, which is normal for a presentation, why should you get first for that when you clearly haven't practiced it? You've got to be in your time frame, because that's part of being professional. And I don't think there's any excuse for that. So you get it, I'm looking up there because that's my clock. So you get in front of a clock, or you put your timer on, and you practice and you get it right. They won't mind if you go like 2 or 3 minutes over, but 5-10 minutes, they'll start switching off, getting angry, and thinking they need to get out the door, or they're going to lose marks, or whatever it is, you're switching them off, because people can only concentrate for so long as well. So yeah, practice, practice, practice. So that's the end of this section. I'm just going to do a final recap. So if you want to just switch forward totally to the final recap, I will see you shortly.